Now it is.
Okay. All right, hey everyone. We are back for our final session with Pastor Elmer.
Lincoln.
I tried so hard the whole entire 2 seminars. I almost made it, Pastor. Almost. All right. This is the beauty of being live. I'm so embarrassed right now. Okay. We are live with Pastor Lincoln Murdoch, who you know and you love. We will be back in just a moment to capture the rest of the final session. And I clearly need to have more caffeine this morning. But anyway, I wanted to highlight real quick, as I mentioned before, there would be a special gift that would be awarded to you guys for sticking it out to the end of the broadcast. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be giving away an awesome book, which I'll show you in a second, from Pastor Lincoln Murdoch. And I'm also going to be giving away, let's see here, hold on just a second. I missed a comment. I'm sorry, Rob. Okay, so anyway, I wanted to continue here and say thanks for coming back to the broadcast. We're back here with Pastor Lincoln Murdoch, and we're going to be giving away a gift for those of you that are joining us. There is a way that you'll be able to get that. I'll get to in a second. Before we talk about that, I want to go ahead. I need to talk at this camera. Hi. So anyway, we are going to be giving away a gift in a moment. I'll tell you what that is. We have an opportunity on August 7th, from Wednesday, August 7th at 7 p.m. at the Fat Fox raffle. Real quick, I don't want to take up a lot of your time. These are all of the raffle items behind me that are going to be raffled off. Very kid-centric, wonderful things that we have here. Like here, I don't want to take all day, but you know, some water splash to go kind of deal. Super fun. Sidewalk chalk. It's all going to be in a package deal. This one is kind of fun. So you open up this light like this, and it's white. It's a lantern. Then you shut it, and you open it up again, and it has this cool little fire flicker, which is kind of fun. Woo! Little mood setter there. And then, you know, fun little stuff like this. And this one is super cool. I'll show it to you on the live stream here and over here. It like folds up. It's a cool tool for all sorts of different things there. Omni fishing dock light. Super cool, rechargeable. Sprinklers, so you know. This is looking super fun and cute. You know, a pool party kind of deal. We do have oh, this thing's so heavy. Okay. We're going for the camping theme, obviously. And some things for more stuff for the kids here. This is super fun for the artsy kids. And then this is one of my favorites. This was donated by the, what do you call it? By Kenny's Lumber and Hardware Store. It's the Battery Daddy. I absolutely love this Battery Daddy. I use it myself. It is super cool. So many batteries, you can never find them. This has a container in there. It has a built-in battery tester. So super cool. If you want to go portable with this, and you know, camping, you got a little portable barbecue grill here. You know, air pump, obviously, that goes with the air mattress. This is super fun. Combo set here of the volleyball and badminton together. That's kind of fun. And bubbles, of course you have bubbles. I personally love this. This is from Dollar General, I got this. But basically, it's a super cool visor thing. Protects you all seasons. Here's a stadium seat, you know, those portable stadium seats that, you know, sit down on them. It's super fun. Whoa, there goes my microphone. The world is crashing. And so, this is a bit of a fun one real quick. I'm gonna have you hold this, Shane. Let me switch There you go. I promise we'll get back very soon. Those of you who like Darth Maul and all those cool, like, whoa! Okay, that was totally unexpected. It was supposed to be a lightsaber. I think we'll edit that part out. Never mind. All right. I have used those things 1,000 times and that has never broke. Okay. This is apparently the joy of being live. Well, so much for that. I was gonna demonstrate with my martial arts skills how cool those are. But trust me, they're higher quality than that. All right, let's go over here. All right. That was quite exciting. We'll definitely edit that part out. Okay. All right, so real quickly, I just want to touch base on the resources that are available with Step Up to Life, and I probably can't be heard very well. So here are the resources that are available with Step Up to Life. This is a children's version, which is super cool. And as I mentioned, here's some more, and that hopefully you can see this. And we'll put these images in the edited video, but basically so you can see different versions there. And then different languages. So here we've got some different languages, Spanish and such, of course. Let's see here. Here's a Bible study, which is super cool. And this one I really like. It's one of the versions here for the Hunters version. They have one for motorcyclists and all sorts of different kinds. So all that to say, please go to stepuptolife.com for more of the resources. You can actually order them all online directly there. And you can also, while you're online, zip on over to lincolnmurdoch.com. And if you are a serious triathlon athlete and you would like to get just the last little bit of coaching and mentoring that you would like to get you to the finish line, if you will, then you can get some personal coaching from him via Zoom or Skype or whatnot. Speaking of such, we are, as I promised, giving away a free, well, it's not free, you gotta do something to get it. So here you go. So you can get this if you register at honoryourheronow.com. So once again, honoryourheronow.com. You wanna register your hero. You've got to fill out the form and you say, here's my hero. All you do is put your email, your phone number, and a description of your hero. It's super easy, the easiest thing ever. I will be randomly selecting someone who puts into their hero highlight. You have to put in the words "Step Up to Life." And you go, I saw, Step Up to Life, or I saw this as Step Up to Life. My hero is John, he was a firefighter, or my hero's Tom or Jane because she's a hero to me because she mentored me and taught me mathematics, and I'm now a famous scientist who helps cure cancer or whatever because of her. That's a sample highlight of a hero. And that's all you gotta do. A simple 2 to 3 sentence description of your hero and why, and you put the words "Step Up to Life" in the description, you potentially will get a free book here that is gonna change your life. In addition to that, 100% of the people who go to honoryourheronow.com, put in your email, your phone number, and register a hero, 100% of you will get 10 free raffle tickets. 10 free raffle tickets. And here's the only thing that I require when I send those to you. You can keep 2 of them if you want. Take 8 and go give them away. You've got to practice Step Up to Life. Use the raffle tickets to just every day in and out, keep them in your pocket, go to the store. Hey, by the way, there's this cool event happening on September 7th. HonorYourHeroNow.com is the website. I got these 2 free raffle tickets. Can I talk to you about this event? It's about raising money for firefighters. Oh yeah, sure, I'll talk about it. And by the way, I've also was curious, and you have some rapport building, of course. And then in your other back pocket, you have this. And I've got something else for you. If you don't mind, can I just show you this real quick and go right into the script? That's it. And so you give away those 2 tickets. Don't give away the raffle tickets until you go over this, please. That would be wonderful. At least try. and let me know how it goes at honoryourheronow.com. Get your 10 free raffle tickets right now. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get back into the session and finish up our final training session. Thank you so much with Pastor Lincoln Murdoch. Let's give him a round of applause. Woohoo!
Sure. Say when.
So many commercials. My goodness. It's like I run a marketing
It's like watching
company.
TV.
Yeah, I know. It's like I run a marketing company or something. I do. It's like watching TV. Oh, bear with me 1 second as I plug this in. Okay. That looks good. And we're still recording. All right. Thank you, Shane. All right. Action.
All right. We're good. All right. A couple things that come to mind that I just want to share real quick. We were talking about saving faith, the top step. We're talking about evidences, right? When the baby comes out, we're looking for breathing and crying and movement and color and heartbeat and all of that. Likewise, with somebody who's born again spiritually, there will be evidences. Now, a lot of people wonder, well, when I live in saving faith, am I supposed to not sin anymore? Well, that's the goal, but we do sin. 1 John chapter 1, if any of you sin, if any of you say you have no sin, you're deceiving yourself. And so, but the reaction is going to be completely different with a person who has truly been saved and born again and somebody who hasn't. And there's a little story. So, some people have pets, and they have pet pigs. Do you know this? They have a pot-bellied pig. People actually have these in their homes. I don't know if you know that or not, but this is a thing. It's real. And so a man had a pot-bellied pig for a pet, and he was going to take the pig for a walk one day. So he put the little harness on it, and they're walking, and it had rained really hard the night before. And they're walking down this path, this dirt path, and they weren't paying attention, and they tripped over a rock, and they both fell in 6 inches of mud in a mud puddle. The pig, the man. Now, there were two very different responses to falling in the mud puddle. The man, of course, jumps up and is like, oh, yuck. He's trying to get the mud off him. He's looking around to see if anybody saw him. And it's like, oh, this is gross. The pig, on the other hand, it's a hot day. The pig just starts like, oh, yeah, rolling on his back, wiggling around, all the way around, getting completely covered in the cool mud. He's loving it. So that represents the difference in an unconverted person and how they feel about sin. They're rolling around in it. They're enjoying it. Scripture talks about the fleeting pleasures of sin. Sin is enjoyable for a time, quite often. But the man, of course, represents one who's been born again. He fell in, but what's he going to do? He's going to run home, he's going to take a shower, and get all that mud off him, because he hates it. So the parallel is that when we sin, what do? The blood of Christ immediately can cleanse us as we simply confess our sin, turn from it, and the blood of Christ washes us away. So when we talk about evidences of the new birth, that's one of them. And it was in the back of the booklet, right? Distress over sin. Two completely different reactions to sin from the unbeliever to the one who has been converted. So keep that in mind. That's important. All right. One other illustration. Well, I'll close with that illustration. I want us to understand there are 5 kinds of faith. People talk about faith. They're a faith community, or I'm a person of faith. There are 5 kinds actually, and it's very important to understand that not all faith is saving faith. The top step of the 5 steps is saving faith, but there are other kinds that we need to be aware of. If we're trying to determine whether somebody's on saving faith or not, this can be very, very helpful for us. So we're going to look at these 5 kinds of faith and see what we can learn. What do people say? Well, I believe in God. My faith is important to me. Oh, okay. Well, all right. People have faith in all kinds of things. there are different gods and different kinds of faiths in those gods. If somebody says, I have faith in God, I don't know really what they mean. Who do they see in their mind when they say God? It might be very different than what I see. When they say they have faith, what does that mean? Does that mean saving faith? Maybe not. So we need to be discerning, and that's what this session is about, to talk about these different kinds of faith. So the first type we're going to call dead faith. Dead faith. This is one of the 5. What is dead faith? There's head faith. All right, that's number 2. There's devil's faith. That's number 3. And finally, then there's temporary faith. That's number 4. And then finally, there is what you know and I know we call saving faith. So, somebody says they have faith. We need to begin to think about what are they saying and what kind of faith really do they have. So let's look at each one of these. Dead faith. James 2, 14 to 16 makes it pretty clear. Faith without works is dead. And so we have dead faith. What's that? It's all talk and no action. No behavior that matches the talk. All right? There's no fruit on the tree. Remember we said where there's root, there's fruit. And if somebody says they're an orange tree, then there ought to be oranges on it, right? If somebody says they're a Christian, there should be fruit on the tree of their life. So, dead faith is just that. Where there's no root, there's no fruit. And if there's no fruit, there's probably no root. Now, good works, we're not saying that good works equals saving faith. No man can be saved by their works. Nobody is good enough. We've illustrated that numerous times in the seminar. That just doesn't work. But where there is saving faith, there will be good works to prove it out. So works does not redeem a person, but when a person is truly redeemed, there will be evidence. There will be works that are good works that God has ordained for that person from the beginning of time. All right, that's dead faith. A lot of people have that. We all probably know people that talk a good talk. Christian, they speak Christianese really well. They might go to church, but when you look at their life, it's a disaster. There's no fruit. That's dead faith. Okay, what about head faith? You believe God is one and you do well, it says in James 2. Well, that's good. Correct theological belief is commended. You believe, you do well. All right? So it's in your head. That's good. It's a good place to start. Correct belief is important. You can't believe that Jesus is one of 300 million gods like a Hindu. That you can't believe that and be a Christian, right? You have to believe correct theology and doctrine. It is important. But what's more important is one's heart attitude towards what they believe. All right? So I told you my personal example. My head was full of the Bible. It was full of Scripture. It was full of correct doctrine. All growing up, I kept adding to it. But my heart was far from God. I had head faith. Head faith is not saving faith. Huge, huge difference in those. And there are biblical examples of that as well. But we're gonna move on. Then there is devil's faith. Even the demons believe. I told you yesterday the demons have great theology. Their doctrine is perfect. Everything that the Bible says, they believe. Absolutely. They shudder. They believe it so much. Head faith plus emotions equals devil's faith. Remember, head faith, you believe all the right stuff. That's head faith. A step further is devil's faith, where you believe all the right stuff and you actually have an emotional response to it. On the emotional thing, sometimes we have to be careful. I remember dealing with people after services on Sundays over the years where somebody would respond to the gospel and they'd be crying. There they are, kneeling at the altar, crying in response to the gospel. I'm like, yes, this must be real. They're crying. That means they're really ready to receive Jesus. This is awesome. So I get down there with a young gal, a 20-something gal. I'm like, oh, I'm so glad you responded to the message and you came forward. Oh, yeah, and you're crying. You're obviously feeling this deeply. Oh, yeah. So where are you? What step are you on? Do you feel like you're ready to give your life to Christ? Huh? Well, you responded. You're crying. She goes, yeah, it's because my boyfriend broke up with me this week. So, just because somebody's crying, don't assume anything. Don't put too much stock in that, because the demons believe and they tremble. They have an emotional response to what they know is true, but they do not submit. They want nothing to do with submission to God. And that is what is known as devil's faith. It's head faith plus fear and trembling. All right? They know the power of God. They've been kicked out of heaven by his power. They know that really well. So like head and dead faith, devil's faith leads to nowhere but an eternity separated from God. All right. So we got head faith, we got dead faith, we got devil's faith. So these are three kinds of faith that do not save. They do not save. And I know in a lot of towns and communities where there's a lot of churches, you got a lot of people that go to church. They're trying to be good. They believe some of the right stuff, or maybe they believe all the right stuff, but they've never repented and surrendered to Christ. And so that's why these kind of faiths, it's important that we understand what they are. All right? Now we come to a tricky one. This one is tricky. Remember the parable of the sower. The sower went out to sow, and back in the day, they'd have the bag hanging on their shoulder, and they would just grab seed and they would just throw the seed. They would just be sowing that seed all over the place, maybe very generous with the seed, but maybe not real strategic, because some of the seed lands on the hard path, right? Some of it lands on a bunch of soil where there's weeds, a bunch of it lands where there's rocks, and then a bunch of it lands in good soil. All right. So, the seed that landed on the hard path, we're told that the birds come and snatch it away. And that spiritually is somebody that hears the word, and before anything can happen, the devil just snatches it away. All right, that's easy to understand. The fourth one, good soil, that's also easy to understand, right? The soil's been prepared, the seed goes in, there's water, there's sunshine, and there's a crop. That's easy to understand. But what about the middle two? What about the rocks and the weeds? Those always mystified me. They did for a long time, because I'm thinking something started to grow. What is that? What is that? And we know the seed is the word, the soil is the heart. The seed goes in and something starts to grow. But there's a problem. The problem with the weeds is they come up and they choke it out. The problem with the rocks is the seed goes down about 1 inch. The roots start to go down, hit the rock, cause it to spring up quickly. There's no deep root, and the sun comes out and it dies. So spiritually, it's unprepared soil. I might talk to somebody about the Lord, and they might seem like they're ready, but I got to make sure the soil of their heart has been prepared, that the rocks have been cleared. This is all part of counting the cost, by the way. Clear the rocks, get the weeds out. Otherwise, what you're going to have is something that is only temporary. And that's where we get temporary decisions, temporary faith. Those do not last. The reason it mystified me was because something was growing, but it was doomed from the very start. Did not have a chance of bearing fruit. And what's the key indicator of a true converted person? Fruit. If there's no fruit, there's no root. And so there is this concept of temporary faith. Let me tell you one other quick thing. When I was 13 years old, we used to have, remember back when churches used to have Sunday evening services. So my dad was a pastor, guess what? I was there. And I don't remember the service or anything about it, but I do remember driving home, I was in the back seat of the car, and I remember being under conviction. I remember my sins bothering me quite a bit. And I remember leaning my head against the window, and it was raining out. I just remember these things. We got home. I have an older sister. My parents dropped us off, and they went out for coffee with somebody from the church. So I'm feeling this guilt, and I say to my older sister, who was genuinely born again, hey, Heather, I think I need to give my life to Jesus. She was like, oh, she was so excited, this is great. So, she prayed with me and whatever, and then I was done, and then I went to school the next day. And it was weird because I remember in band class, 7th grade band class, Beveridge Junior High, Omaha, Nebraska, Mr. Nathurda was our band teacher. I can't believe I remember all this. I can't remember what I did yesterday, but I can remember when I was 13. It's crazy. And I remember looking at the kids, my schoolmates, and I was concerned for their eternal destiny. That's weird. And I remember about a week later, one of my buddies, my 7th grade buddies, said, hey, I noticed you don't cuss anymore. What's up with that? And, whatever 7th grade cussing is back then, who knows what that meant. But he noticed something. And I was like, oh, well, I decided I was going to quit. I don't know what I said. But guess what? I was 13. There was something that started to grow. But I told you the two things that I loved and I did not want God messing with, girls and basketball. And guess what? For the next 8 years, you know what ran my life? Girls and basketball. And me. I was running my life. So I go back and I think, well, what happened that night? What was that about? It was about this. I experienced temporary faith. I didn't count the cost. I wasn't willing to surrender all. And so I experienced this. Again, the parable of the sower. The first soil is easy to understand, no crop. The last soil, good soil, that's easy to understand. But what about the rocks and the thorns? There was life there for a little while, but it was temporary. It died, and no fruit came from it. So, good seed, but bad, unprepared soil. This one can be a little confusing as you're trying to help people in their spiritual journey or to bring them to Christ. But it happens, and one of the things that's really helpful for me, if I'm talking to somebody who made a decision years ago, Friday night at camp or whatever it was, but you talk to them and it's like, well, I prayed the prayer, I don't know if I'm a Christian or not. A really helpful question is in the booklet. We haven't talked about it yet. It's in the bottom of page 3. And I found this question to blow away a lot of the fog, and it's simply this. Who runs your life? Let's just forget for a minute about the past. Let's forget about your spiritual experiences, all right? Just right now, today, clean slate, who runs your life, you or the Lord? And I found that question to be very, very helpful with these kind of folks. Because they might even be confused about their own life. Well, they prayed the prayer, they did the thing, but they know their life hasn't changed. They know there's no fruit. So, that question is very helpful in the booklet, Who Runs Your Life Right Now? And if they say they do, okay, now we know what we're working with here. All right. So, soil or heart preparation takes time and effort. I don't rush the process with a friend. I work through the steps with them, but I realize that there's some soil preparation that needs to take place, mostly in understanding that if I do this, I'm all in. I'm all in. Because again, we want lasting conversions, not temporary decisions. All right. And then there's saving faith. We've talked about this. The rocks and the weeds have been removed. There is hearing and understanding. If you read the passages, there's hearing and there's understanding of the word that's been preached. There is submission to the will of God's rule in their life. There's a shift of government in the human heart from self-rule to the rule of God, the rule of Jesus. No known areas of reserve. Now, this is important. Nobody's perfect when they enter the kingdom of heaven, and nobody's perfect after they enter the kingdom of heaven. We all blow it. We all sin. But the attitude of the heart when we first repent and believe and step into the new life in Christ has to be no known reserves. I'm not holding anything back, Lord. Here's my whole life. Now, what that means in a year, in 5 years, in 10 years, the Lord is gracious to conform us and shape us and point out things in our life that need to change. So somebody genuinely is born again, and 4 months later, the Lord speaks to them and says, hey, that music that you're listening to, that doesn't glorify me. That needs to change. And the attitude is, okay, Lord, yes, because you're the Lord, not me. Right? That's been settled at conversion. Who gets the last say? God does. Right? So no known areas of reservation. That's what's part of saving faith. Full surrender of one's total life to God. Doesn't mean you're perfect. You still need God's grace and forgiveness, but no known reserves. I'm all in. All right. So let me close with a little illustration here that I think helps illustrate this. Some of this is folklore. Some of it's true. I don't know how to separate what is true and what's not. But let me just tell you the story, and then you can go look it up. Back at the turn of the century, there was a tightrope walker. His name was Blondin. And we'll just pretend that this blue line is the cable, that he walks on. And you've seen these guys, they have a great big pole that they hold, right? And they're walking the line, and they're way up high, and you're holding your breath because you don't want